Okay. I'll call to order this February 25th, 2021 meeting of the Franklin Municipal Planning Commission. We'll start off with a roll call by roll call vote. Commissioner Allen, Commissioner Franks, Commissioner Harrison, Commissioner Lindsay's here, Commissioner McLemore, Commissioner Mann, Commissioner Orr, Commissioner Peterson, and Commissioner Salaji. Thank you. Everybody's in attendance. Item number 1, consideration of resolution 2021-21, a resolution declaring that the Franklin Municipal Planning Commission shall meet on February 25th, 2021, and conduct its essential business by electronic means rather than being required to gather a quorum of the members physically present in the same location because it is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. We'll turn it over for any public comment. Kelly?
If there's anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item, please unmute yourself or hit *6 on your phone. No public comment.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. So we're prepared for a motion to accept that resolution. And as we make our motions in seconds, please identify yourself by name. So is there a motion to accept the resolution?
Move for approval, Scott.
Second, Allen.
Okay. By roll call, Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franks,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Commissioner McLemore,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Commissioner Orr,
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson,
Aye.
and Commissioner Salaji.
Aye.
Thank you. Announcement for limited public access. The Franklin Municipal Planning Commission meeting will limit physical access in the meeting room due to current limitations on public gatherings to prevent further spread of COVID-19 and to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the City of Franklin officials, staff, and citizens. Accommodations have been made to ensure that the public is able to participate in the meeting. The public may participate in the following ways. Watch the meeting on Franklin TV or the City of Franklin website. You can watch the live stream through the City of Franklin Facebook and YouTube accounts. You can call in to the conference meeting at 1-312-626-6799, and you'll have to key in your meeting ID of 943-6767-7323 with a password of 775780. Callers will be unmuted and given the opportunity to comment during the meeting at specific times. The public can email comments to planningintake@franklintn.gov to be provided in full to the commission and included in the minutes, but not read aloud in their entirety during the meeting. Email comments were accepted until 12 p.m. or 12 noon on the day before the meeting. Limited viewing will be available in the lobby at City Hall for up to 10 persons, but in-person comment in the boardroom will not be available. Ready to approve the minutes from our consideration of approval of the January 28, 2021 Franklin Municipal Planning Commission minutes. So can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Alma moves to, Alma seconds. Well,
Peterson. Either way.
either or.
Okay, so I've got Alma with a motion And was it,
Peterson for the
Peterson?
second.
okay, thank you. By roll call vote, Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franks,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye, Commissioner McLemore,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Commissioner Orr,
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson,
Aye.
and Commissioner Salaji.
Aye.
Thank you. For citizen comments on items not on the agenda, this is an opportunity for Franklin citizens to be heard on items not included on this agenda. As provided by law, the Franklin Municipal Planning Commission shall make no decisions or consideration of action of citizens' comments except to refer the matter to the planning director for administrative consideration or to schedule the matter for FMPC consideration at a later date. So are there any citizens' comments? These will be comments called in by phone. Kelly?
Are there any callers on the line? No public comment.
Great, thank you, Kelly. And now I'll turn it over to staff for announcements. Again to Kelly.
No announcements for this evening.
Okay, thank you. Next is a vote to place non-agenda items on the agenda. The non-agenda process by design is reserved for emergency instances. Non-agenda items shall be considered only upon the unanimous approval of all of the Franklin Municipal Planning Commission members. So does anyone have any non-agenda items that need to be placed on the agenda for tonight? Hearing none, we will move along to item number 4, consideration of the consent agenda. Items number 4 and 7 are on the consent agenda. Do I have a motion for approval of those items? Does anyone wish to remove? I'm sorry, does anyone wish to remove one of those items from consent? Seeing none, I've got Scott with a motion to approve.
A second, Allen.
Yeah, okay. Great. And by roll call vote, Marcia Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franks,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Aye.
Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye, Commissioner McLemore,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Commissioner Orr. Are you on mute, Michael?
No. Aye.
No, aye, okay. Commissioner Peterson
Aye.
and Commissioner Salaji.
Aye.
Great, thank you. The consent agenda passes unanimously. Item number 5, consideration of ordinance 2021-01, an ordinance to rezone 140.81 acres from planned PD 0.7 with 1,563,000 square feet district to planned PD 11.72, 1,573,500 square feet with 450 keys district, planned district, for the property located south of Goose Creek Bypass and west of Interstate 65, located at 2409 Goose Creek Bypass, the Berry Farms Chadwell PUD. So I turn it over now for staff presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The applicant is requesting to rezone the property where the Berry Farms Chadwell PUD subdivision is located. The current entitlements for the property were approved in July 2006, and the revised development plan for the Chadwell PUD subdivision has also been submitted concurrently with this rezoning request. Envision Franklin places this parcel into both the regional commerce and neighborhood mixed-use design concept. And Vision Franklin states that areas within the regional commerce design concept contain high-intensity activity centers that attract large numbers of people and employers from both within and outside of the city. For neighborhood mixed use, Vision Franklin states that this concept provide a diverse mix of high-activity uses with a connected and walkable block layout. These centers and corridors should have coordinated development patterns at a pedestrian scale with high quality architecture, plazas, sidewalks, and pedestrians and bicycle amenities. The proposed rezoning with the entitlements of 1.72 density, 1.573 500 square feet of retail commercial, and 450 hotel keys is appropriate to achieve the recommendations of both the regional commerce and neighborhood mixed use design concept as outlined in Envision Franklin, and allow for the applicant to create a cohesive, integrated development that is pedestrian oriented. We have received many written comments from the public for both items 5 and 6 for both the rezoning and the development plan, and those have been given to you in full as one of your attachments. We can discuss those more in detail with the development plan revision. Staff recommends approval of ordinance 2021-01. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Joey. Does anyone from the public wish to speak to this item?
Are there any callers on the line? No comments.
Great, thank you.
Hello?
Oh,
Yes, please
Hello?
speak.
Hi,
Yes.
guys. This is Alexandra. I'm a resident of Stream Valley. And I'd like to voice our concern that we are asking and pleading the city of Franklin to please consider to add in phase 1 the connector to Lazy Vale Way instead of the front of the neighborhood. The traffic here and the impact to our lives and the risk that is being added and not considered by not having this road in phase 1 is just increasing. So we're kindly asking for your consideration to include in phase 1 the connectivity with Lazy Vale Way. We sent emails to Mr. Speedy and Vernon and the whole crew. So we're really asking you to please look into this.
thank you. Are there other callers?
No other callers.
Okay, I turn it over now to a presentation by the applicant.
Hi, this is Adam Balish with Boyle Investment Company, and with me tonight I have Greg Gamble, our land planner, who you guys know very well, and Ryan McMaster, our engineer. But first wanted to say thank you for allowing us this opportunity to speak to you this evening in what feels like a private planning commission meeting with almost only us on the agenda. So thank you for sticking around tonight. We, as you know, have been in front of you for several months, starting end of last summer into the fall. So it's been some time since we've had the work sessions and various discussions. We had some self-inflicted delays on our own part that we fully acknowledge in debates with staff about infrastructure and infrastructure timing. And we have very much appreciated the dialogue that we've had with staff, with BOMA, and with planning commissioners to get us to the point that we are now. So you've heard us speak as to why we're suggesting these changes to Berry Farms, and are excited to present that to you this evening as we really look to improve upon the layout of Berry Farms, Chadwell District in particular, and help create a continued economic engine for the city of Franklin for the next 10 or 20 years. So Greg, happy to sit back and watch your presentation.
Thank you. I'm Greg Gamble, Gamble Design Collaborative, and we've reviewed all staff comments and agree with all conditions of approval. Berry Farms is currently 3 separate PUDs, Rural Plains, Reams Fleming, and Chadwell. The current entitlements include a combined total of 4.9 million square feet of commercial, 1,171 residential homes. Approximately 1.5 million square feet of commercial is currently constructed or has been approved for construction. Tonight we're requesting the rezoning of the Chadwell PUD, Envision Franklin, as mentioned by Eric, has two policies on this property. Regional commerce is darker purple that's shown here, and neighborhood mixed use is the lighter purple shown back here in the back. Both policies encourage a mixture of residential and commercial. The neighborhood mixed use policy is a lower scale and is often a transition to single family neighborhoods. We believe that our rezoning request is in line with these two policies, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Is there a motion on this item?
I move for approval with staff comments.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion to approve with staff comments.
Second, Michael Orr.
Made by Scott. And then a second by Michael Orr. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to hear somebody address the concern by the caller.
Okay, is there any?
Commissioner Orr, it might be more beneficial that we discuss it during the development plan. It directly relates to the plan, not necessarily the zoning. Is that all right?
Sure, that's fine.
Perfect.
Okay, next item. Okay, we'll do that. Any other comments or discussion? We'll move to roll call vote. Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franks,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye. Commissioner McLemore,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Commissioner Orr,
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson,
Aye.
and Commissioner Salaji.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Item number 6 is a consideration of resolution 2021-06, a resolution approving a revised development plan for Berry Farms Chadwell PUD subdivision with 2 modifications of development standards relating to signage and storefront requirements for the property located south of Goose Creek Bypass and west of Interstate 65, located at 2409 Goose Creek Bypass. So we'll start off with staff presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The applicant is proposing a revision to the Berry Farms Chadwell PUD subdivision development plan located at the southwest corner of the Goose Creek Bypass and I-65 junction. The proposed development consists of 1,650 dwelling units, approximately 1.57 million square feet of commercial space, and 450 hotel rooms. The original concept plan and pattern book for the Berry Farms Chadwell PUD was approved in July 2006. For regional commerce, design concept Envision Franklin states that new development should have integrated designs with coordinated access, amenities, and cohesive architecture that fits within the context of the corridor. For neighborhood mixed use design concept, Envision Franklin states that it provide a diverse mix of high activity uses with a connected and walkable block layout, and that these centers and corridors should have coordinated development patterns at a pedestrian scale with high quality architecture, plazas, sidewalks, and pedestrian and bicycle amenities to activate the street and connect these gathering places to the residential neighborhoods they support. The plan as proposed responds to the recommendations of Envision Franklin through a cohesive design of mixed residential, retail, and office space that provides live-work opportunities in a pedestrian-oriented community. The higher density and larger scale of the development is concentrated along the interstate in the northern section, with the southern section transitioning in height and use to the surrounding neighborhoods of Stream Valley and Goose Creek Estates. The plan provides ample open space and transitionary green space between Berry Farms, Chadwell, and Goose Creek Estates. There are 2 modification of standards requests. MOS number 1, the applicant is requesting to modify the regulations for monument signage to allow 4 freestanding arches over the main thoroughfare in the northern section of Berry Farms Chadwell. The applicant additionally requests that the primary material for these 4 arches signs be metal. Section 15.11, which is monument signage of the Franklin zoning ordinance, limits the height of signs for monument signage to 6 feet and the overall height to 8 feet. It further limits the primary material to masonry. Given the size and scale of the development and the proposed locations over a private road instead of a public road, staff can support the request for arch signage. This request is unique to the intent of this development and will enhance the overall design. As a condition of approval, any portion of the sign structure's base or foundation is not permitted to be located in public utility easements, and that all applicable standards and specifications for public infrastructure and utilities within the roadway being spanned shall be adhered to at the site plan stage. So for MOS number 1, for the monument signage or the curb signs over the private road, staff recommends approval. For the second modification of standard, the applicant is requesting to modify the storefront regulations for the commercial mixed-use building type to eliminate the knee wall and extend storefront glass down to ground level. Additionally, the applicant is requesting to modify the storefront requirements for flexibility on transom windows being required on all storefronts. Figure 6.6.1 and section 6.8 of the Franklin zoning ordinance requires that retail storefronts have traditional features, including knee walls to establish a clear and distinguishable base, as well as transom windows. The standards for retail storefronts were included in the December 2019 edition of the Franklin zoning ordinance and were retained in the December 2020 zoning ordinance update. Staff stands with the regulations in the ordinance and will not recommend support of the proposed modifications to the storefront standards. So for MOS number 2, staff recommends disapproval. We have received more than a dozen public comments from neighboring citizens, mainly from the Stream Valley subdivision, mainly pertaining to construction traffic, connectivity, and the phasing of connections to Stream Valley. The full written statements are available as an attachment among your materials. Based on the Boyle team's recent submittal of the amended Chadwell development plan, city staff and the Boyle team have agreed upon a phasing plan for the road network. The phasing plan outlines milestones that will trigger the construction of specific connections that provide access for emergency vehicles while also limiting construction traffic from having to utilize roads in the Stream Valley. The phasing plan also provides for future connections to Stream Valley neighborhood as infrastructure and new buildings are far enough along that the site can be safely accessed and open for use by the general public. The phasing plan is included as an attachment in your materials. Please be advised that while construction activity has remained strong during the pandemic, it is always difficult to associate a time frame on the timing of future projects. For this reason, the phasing plan takes into account vehicular traffic that will be generated as buildings become occupied. The construction of related infrastructure is completed, and when construction traffic can be better managed on a site under construction. The development plan does include a connection to Lazy Vale Way in the future as well. So with all that in mind, staff recommends approval with conditions of resolution 2021-06 and happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Joey. So is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak to this item? Kelly?
Any callers on the line?
Well, it's me again. So I understand and we support the plan that Chadwell has put forward, but what we don't support is the connectivity and the unknown time frame. You guys are saying that eventually it will be connected in Lazy Way and that side, but eventually it can very well be 10 years. And we have the Mandolin apartments coming in. We've already had incidents where our very few entrance and exits got blocked. While we had an emergency of this past week, somebody fell in the snow and broke their leg, and these people got trapped. So the fact that the proposed entrance and exit is still on the front side of the neighborhood does not alleviate the need of an urgent entrance exit in the back of the neighborhood where we have the townhomes and where we have now the Mandolin apartments. That's why we are asking you to please hear us out and approve the Lacey Way connector. There are funds already available that Stream Valley paid, so we're asking for your consideration on our request. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
There are no other callers on the line.
No other callers. Okay, so I will, is there someone here representing the applicant who wishes to speak on this item?
Hi, Planning
Unmute.
Commissioners. This is Adam Ballas with Boyle again, and Greg will once again be representing us this evening.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Greg Gamble, and again, we have reviewed all of staff comments, and we would agree with all of the conditions, all conditions of approval. The current master plan for Berry Farms Chadwell was approved in 2006. It consists primarily of office and retail and surface parking lots. The total commercial space is just over 1.5 million square feet, and the plan includes 100 residential homes. Since 2006, there have been changes to the stormwater ordinance and changes to the FEMA flood maps. There have been changes to the demand for retail space and the office development style. There's a great demand to have office integrated now into mixed-use properties. Our master plan proposal includes the master plan design of two villages, what we are designating as Chadwell North and Chadwell South. These two neighborhoods are interconnected for vehicular traffic and pedestrian circulation. One difference in the master plan that should jump out at you is the amount of open space in our new plan, and we'll talk about this park system in just a moment. Here's our main access from Goose Creek Bypass. It will cross the creek to the North Village, and then at this roundabout head south. At the second roundabout, we then head west to the South Village here, and we'll head east to Stream Valley at this connection. Chadwell North has a greater density of uses and the taller buildings. This is the main entry looking from Goose Creek Bypass. You will see the proposed community park on the right with its ball fields and the Chadwell North Village on the left. Just past the roundabout and the hotel, we have Main Street with retail shopping and restaurants down the ground floor to activate the street. This chart here on the top left shows the distribution of uses within the North and the South villages. You will notice that the overall commercial is not increasing from the original, the current PUD. Chadwell North includes the majority of the commercial space. We have added 5,000 square feet of civic space, 450 hotel rooms, 771 multifamily condominiums and apartments. The multifamily designation in our zoning ordinance does not distinguish between condominiums and apartments, but of the total 1,650 multifamily homes that we have in Chadwell, 45% of the homes will be for sale and 55% of the homes will be for rent. You will notice that the parking for this village is now predominantly in structured parking. This is a response to what the tenants, office tenants, are now looking for. The buildings closest to the interstate will be taller buildings. You can see here in the blue, these are along the interstate. Here, these are the taller structures. And then heights transition down in scale as we move to the west. Parks within the village are central gathering spaces and places of relaxation outside for residents, shoppers, and office workers. The proposed architecture of Berry Farms Chadwell will hold the high standards and quality already established in rural Plains Town Center and the Reams Fleming, as you see at the Ramsey campus. There's a mixture of architectural styles, but they're designed to resonate together and create an identity that is Berry Farms. Chadwell South is predominantly residential with a mixture of apartments, condominiums, senior housing. There are 65,600 square feet of commercial uses that are integrated into the ground floor of the buildings around the open space parks for restaurants and retail, and integrated into the residential buildings for live-work opportunities. The architecture for the South Village is smaller in scale than the North Village as we transition towards Stream Valley. Many of the photos that you see here are buildings that are currently at Rural Plains to the north and will be typical of the homes planned in this village. I'd like to talk a little bit about this transition then to Stream Valley. The current master plan has office uses that park directly adjacent to the rear yards of existing single-family homes with parking lot lights and second floor windows right over the private space. There is a 30-foot buffer with landscape, but not a great deal of protection. In our new plan, we have retained the 30-foot landscape buffer, but we have lined an alley with detached garages that will improve that buffer and create greater separation. The condominiums planned in this location will be around 77 feet from the property line, so a much greater distance than the current master plan. Our team is coordinating with the City of Franklin Parks Department. Sorry, I flew. Sorry. Our team is coordinating with the City of Franklin Parks Department for an integrated network of open space that offers public parks and public greenway trails. The trails are shown here in both red and yellow. We plan to extend these trails underneath Goose Creek Bypass to Berry Farms Town Center. 5 Mile Park, which is shown here shaded in green, will be open to the public and will include various ball fields, playgrounds, a restroom facility. The park will not be lit at night except for safety lighting in the parking lot and around the building facility. Over the past few months, we have discussed interconnectivity in this area for traffic distribution. This map shows the planned local street network and connections between Lewisburg Pike and Goose Creek Bypass. The 2 north-south access points into Stream Valley are constructed. The road connection here at Southbrook is under construction today and will be constructed in the first phase up to this first block of neighborhood. There will be an emergency connection that will be constructed but would not be open while construction activity is taking place in Southbrook. You can see the alignment of these roads and how the interconnectivity would occur from Stream Valley out to Goose Creek Bypass. We have coordinated with fire engineering planning to devise a phasing plan for these roadways, both off-site and on-site. This phase plan is located in your development plan for review. It's one of the pages that's a part of the development plan packet. It is a commitment from Boyle and the development team to the process and the phase at which development is going to occur, both off-site and on-site. Encourage you to kind of read the finer points of this. The construction traffic will all enter and exit off of Goose Creek Bypass, and that's a commitment that Boyle has made. The interior roadways will be built incrementally as development occurs. Boyle has agreed to connect both roads to Stream Valley during the build out of the master plan, and it will not be at the end of the development. 8 intersections were studied with the traffic report. The most specific or most significant improvement is located at the Chadwell entrance here, where turn lanes will be added to improve this intersection. The intersection of Goose Creek and Lewisburg Pike will also be improved, but by Southbrook, and these improvements will take Chadwell into account. As mentioned by staff, we have 2 modification of standards. The first is for a monument sign that would span the Main Street would span Main Street in 4 locations here. One just after the roundabout, 1, 2, 3, 4. The Main Street portion of Chadwell is here shown in blue. On this smaller diagram, you see the red lines are public streets. The blue lines are private streets. So this Main Street portion here would be a private street. If I need to zoom in on that, I certainly will. Just let me know. We will work with fire and engineering on the final design to make sure that they're comfortable with the height, span, clearances. It's important to our master plan and the character of Chadwell to have the ability to create unique signage for placemaking and the distinguishment of this village. Our second modification of standards is really in 2 parts. The first is to allow storefront windows with glass to the ground, as seen here, and this is downtown Franklin. but it's really allowing that glass to go ahead and go from the top of that window all the way down here to the bottom. Currently, a masonry base is required and glass is not permitted all the way down to the ground. The request seeks to continue the ability to create and apply creative and unique architecture in Berry Farms. The second part of this modification of standards is a request to permit some commercial buildings without transom windows, as seen in these photos. Here you see the glass going all the way from the base up to the top without transoms. In retail shops, the windows is single glass that goes from top to the bottom. Currently, all windows are required to have transom windows in these commercial retail buildings spaces. With that, Adam and Ryan McMaster with Kimley Horn, a civil engineer, and I are on this meeting, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Great, thank you, Greg. Is there a motion on this item?
I'll move for approval with staff comments, but I guess we'll take the modifications
Right.
standards one at a time. Okay.
So
Second, Mike Moore.
okay, we'll move into the motions on the modification of standards. My little side computer just decided to reboot itself, so I'm going to say goodbye to it.
Commissioner Lindsay, this is Adam Balish. I had a slight clarification to make on MOS number 2 when you get to that point, if I may add a few clarifications.
Okay, hang on then. Okay, it doesn't want to let me back in. Okay, so the first item is for modification of standards number 1. I got nothing to read.
That's all right. Let me help you out.
Okay.
It's for a modification for monument signs to be higher than the maximum height allowed in the ordinance today, and for a material change to allow metal.
Okay.
And staff did recommend approval of this one.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so that's modification of standards number 1. Is there a motion on that item?
Yes, as staff has recommended, I will go on and I will make a motion to approve that modification of standards.
This is Scott, and I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Alma to approve that modification of standards, and it's seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion on modification of standards number 1? Seeing none. All in favor of the motion by roll call vote? Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franks, don't see Commissioner Franks. Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye. Commissioner McLemore,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Commissioner Orr,
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson,
Aye.
Commissioner Salaji,
Aye.
Okay, and I'll go back to Jimmy. Commissioner Franks, are you with us? I don't see Commissioner Franks. Okay, so that motion for modification of standards number 1 is approved. The second modification is, Amy, would you read that again for us, please?
Sure thing. Joey, correct me if I'm wrong. This is to modify the requirement to have a base at the bottom of the windows and a requirement to have a transom at the top of the windows of the storefronts. The applicant's requesting to have glass from top to bottom, and staff is recommending disapproval of this one. I believe the applicant wanted to make a couple comments.
Okay, before we call for a vote, then is the applicant, would you like to make a comment on this item then?
Yes, thank you, folks. The point of clarification I want to make on this, and I really appreciate a lot of conversation that I've been able to have with Kelly on these items. And quite frankly, we had a list of like 24 modification of standard requests prior to your amendment of the zoning ordinance in December or thereabouts. And so I really appreciate staff's help in working through those concerns. This one item was still a concern that popped up after the revisions to the zoning ordinance, and we realized that this is very fresh and new, and that staff is understandably defensive of their new zoning ordinance, and I say that in the kindest way. One thing I want to clarify, currently at Berry Farms Town Center, all of our mixed-use buildings that have retail on the ground level do indeed actually have knee walls below the glass. So we fully understand that. We appreciate that design element. There are a lot of instances in Berry Farms Town Center where we have transoms and some that we do not. We are simply on the transom side looking for that flexibility to take that glass up or down. With regard to the knee walls, one really clear point that I want to specify, and we probably should have done a better job in describing this, is that we are asking for this clarification on the mixed-use buildings. Those are the multi-story mixed-use buildings where you have some use above retail. So our pattern book, as well as the zoning ordinance, is very particular on describing a base, middle, and top from a design of a building. And I can understand staff's desire to make sure that that base is consistent around a building. In instances like McEwen, there was an image of that up on the screen earlier in a 7-story mixed-use tall building. In our view, the entirety of the ground floor is the base. Then you have a middle that is, say the upper 6 floors, and the top is the cornice and the architectural treatments on the top. So in this instance, we're able to differentiate that base, middle, top on these mixed-use buildings, and it's a little bit separate from the condition in a standalone single-story retail building or something like that. So I just wanted to make that small distinction in why we were asking for this clarification.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion for modification of standards number 2?
Chair, this is Commissioner Allen. I will go with staff here and recommend disapproval of modification of standard number 2.
We have a motion to disapprove modification of standards number 2. Is there a second?
I'll second Marshall's motion. Scott.
Thank you, Scott. We've got a motion to disapprove the modification of standards and a proper second by Scott. Is there any discussion on this item?
I want to point out here, and let's make this very clear. According to, and if you read this, review this, this wasn't something that staff just said, oh, just let's disapprove this. This was not only in 2019's ordinance, this was again reviewed in 2020, not just for this project. This is a citywide zoning ordinance. This is something that has been reviewed by professional staff. This is not an opinion. This is something that is in our zoning ordinance. So this, I just want you to know that and know that this has been recommended by professional staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen. Any other discussion? Yes,
I have
Ann?
I have a
Commissioner
question.
Peterson?
What is the point about the transom?
Is the applicant?
I can.
No, the staff. Yeah,
Staff?
I can speak to that. The applicant is requesting just, I guess, more flexible use of whether having transom windows or not having transom windows. Currently with the zoning ordinance for retail store frontage, transom windows are required, and they're just asking for them not to be required, essentially, as part of this MOS.
So what is the benefit to having a transom window? I see what you're talking about on the bottom to have the three parts to it, but what's the thing about the transom?
Light and having more classical, traditional features of a storefront you would find on a Main Street type setting.
This standard was added in the 2019 zoning ordinance after considerable community input and visual preference surveys that desired a more traditional commercial building frontage. So it reflects that, but a transom could be above a doorway on a storefront, not necessarily above every window on a storefront, but above a doorway, and it increases the amount of daylight into the building and increases the amount of transparency and is a traditional architectural feature.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Any other comments or questions on this?
One question I would have, again, going back to the transom. So transom over doors, but are you saying that if you have a block of storefront, is it there just like a horizontal mullion that has to happen at the top?
That there is a transom window above a door in a traditional storefront appearance.
Okay.
So yes, there's an
Really, it's not the
additional
big blocks of glass per se. It's meaning the door should have a transom above it.
It's actually very flexible in the way that it's written, but just geared towards a more traditional approach in storefronts.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments? We'll go to roll call vote. Commissioner Allen, this is a motion to disapprove the request for modification of standards for the transom and knee wall requirement. Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Franks? Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye. Commissioner McLemore?
Aye.
Commissioner Mann?
Aye.
Commissioner Orr?
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson?
Aye.
Commissioner Salaji?
Aye.
And I'll go back one time to Commissioner Franks. Are you with it? I see your name on the screen, Jimmy. Jimmy's gotten too comfortable. Okay, so that motion passes. So we've got 2 votes on modifications of standards. The modification of standards number 1 did pass. And then modification of standards number 2 did not pass. That takes us back to the main motion. Is there any discussion on the main motion as it's now been amended as we've now considered these modifications of standards? Seeing no discussion, we'll go to roll call vote. Commissioner Allen?
Sorry, I wanted to hear just a little bit more about the, let's see, how are they talking about the roads and the way that they're going to handle the transitioning for them? I apologize.
Okay, thank you, Ann.
I would also like to get a little bit more information on the garages that are going to go up against the backyards of those in Stream Valley, because it was office. And so it seems like we're kind of replacing light with noise. Not that that's a bad thing, but I'm wondering if we're doing anything for the noise now that there's going to be vehicles parked in those carports.
Okay. Staff, do we have any guidance you can give us on the transitioning for the schedule for transitioning roads?
Yeah, I might jump in there if it's okay, Commissioner Lindsay.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you again, commissioners. I'll start out, and then if my colleague Jimmy Wiseman wants to jump in, because he's also worked very, very closely with the Boyle and their development team. And I have also had communication with the caller and a couple of her neighbors, and have offered to meet with them. Hopefully we'll be able to do that next week, so I can share more of the details and history associated with Stream Valley and in Chadwell too. But as you can see by the phasing plan, it's well thought out, and it's predicated on not only on how the site will develop and the vehicular traffic that will be generated, but it also not only talks of roads, but also the other infrastructure that's put in on the site. And as we've worked on larger developments, and even the Rural Plains development right across the street, we have seen during the course of that development how it's important to try to do our best to work together to phase the infrastructure so it doesn't negatively impact the residents that are going to live there, and the customers that are going to frequent the businesses or the employees that work. And when there's a conflict, inevitably the city and the developer and residents get anxious because there's so much construction traffic going on. So as we have larger developments, we're going to look at what we're doing here as more of a common practice to ensure there's connectivity at the appropriate time. And in speaking with Alex and our neighbors, you know, they had voiced concern about not having any construction traffic come in through Stream Valley Boulevard or the other entrance that they have a little bit further south on Lewisburg Pike. And as Greg explained, that's going to be achieved in part of this development to the point where they're going to need to get in to make the connections at the appropriate time. Stream Valley currently has 2 connections. That was in accordance with their original approval, but with Chadwell, they'll obtain 2 more. And as Greg mentioned, with Southbrook, there'll be another. So they'll have a total of 5 at the point in time we believe it's appropriate. And that's refreshing. Hopefully we see that, although the timing may not be what the Stream Valley residents want. But for staff, as you know, we've had a number of developments where adjacent neighborhoods don't want connectivity. And Goose Creek Estates is one of those. So in this case, we're getting connectivity. The uniqueness of it is that this development is large and it's going to take time to evolve. And when it was approved in the mid-2000s, I think everybody that was here at the time had hoped it went forward at that time a little bit sooner. But as we know, the economy sometimes has an impact of how investment occurs in our community. I'll leave it at that. Please know that it is my intention to get with Alex so I can meet with her and her neighbors and talk things through and try to help them understand and clear up any misunderstandings. Jimmy, if you want to talk more about the phasing plan, if I left anything out, please do.
No, that was good, Vernon. For reference, it's on sheet C 6.0 of the plan set. Is a lot of detail on there. If you have any questions, certainly let us know.
All right, thank you, Jimmy.
Chairman, I'm available to answer Commissioner Mann's question regarding the garages. If I can share the screen again, I can reference back to that page.
Okay.
And as Greg's pulling that up, Commissioner Mann, I apologize, we haven't had a chance to meet, but we did have several, probably over a half a dozen meetings with Stream Valley residents as a whole through this process. One point of clarification that's not overly apparent from the cross section, if you really zoom in on like the red line, it's not just office buildings that were adjacent to the Stream Valley property line, but it's the parking lots that support those office buildings. So there would have been cars and 20-foot tall plus light standards that were facing south into there, versus the new design has garages that are facing north. So it's actually separating even further the alleyway from the adjacent neighborhood. And so as those cars turn south into those garages, they would be, truly having their headlights face into the garage that they're pulling into, compared to those open parking fields that were facing south. So thus far, not to say that there's still not concerns, that Stream Valley residents seem to be very positive on this take, including the specific neighbors that lived in these various houses that abut this zone.
I'll add to that as well. The zoning ordinance requires that parking for these building types be located behind the building. For any townhomes, multifamily buildings, parking has to be located behind the building. So when we look at this section, we have a couple of options. And one is to have the alley drive aisle here with the garage either here or underneath on the lower floor. But in both cases, if we put the alley on this side, we have garage doors that are facing their backyards. In this particular design concept, the garage is detached. The garage is here and it faces this way. So this really becomes a private area in between the building and the back of the property line.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Greg.
Yep. I appreciate the clarification, particularly pointing out that the commercial buildings had parking behind them as well. That was something that was hard for me to pick up on. So it does look like a nice addition of the garages instead of just a blank parking lot.
Okay, great. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we have the motion on the floor. We'll call for a roll call vote. Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Franks? Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye. Commissioner McLemore?
Aye.
Commissioner Mann?
Aye.
Commissioner Orr?
Aye.
Alderman Peterson?
Aye.
And Commissioner Szilagyi?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. That's the last of the items on our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Mike?
Mike?
Second by Scott.
By roll call vote, Marcia Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franks, Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye, Commissioner McLemore,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Commissioner Orr,
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson,
Aye.
and Commissioner Szilagyi.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Bye-bye.